Everybody, Professor Snard here checking in. So we have come to the kind of capstone project for the short fiction piece of our Intro to Lit course. Hopefully things have been going well in the course for you so far, that you're learning something, right? Obviously meeting just the basic kind of content objectives, but also feeling kind of plugged in or connected with other people, doing some interesting things maybe that you hadn't expected necessarily to do, that are a little more interactive or collaborative. And just sort of like having a good time, at least within the context of, doing a Intro to Lit course. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to do a little bit of that feedback part. Just take a couple minutes, let me know how things are going. There's lots to do in Unit 4, so I texted out a reminder just because I can sort of see when people are doing things, and obviously lots of people are working well in advance and clearly managing their time. But I do want to make sure that people aren't leaving sort of like everything to do within a unit within, a couple of hours before the deadline. Can you get it done? Probably. Can you get it done really well? Less probably. Can you get as much out of it as if you're really sort of piecing out the course and engaged with it on an ongoing basis? Definitely not. So again, mostly just time management. Easy to say, but hard to do. All right, which brings us to Units 5 and 6. In our format here, there's what's probably going to feel like, honestly, a lot of time devoted to this, to working on this project, probably more than you'll actually need. So hopefully it's not so much that you actually sort of disconnect from what's going on, but you'll hopefully also see why there's a lot of time that we've devoted to this. So it's the capstone for our short fiction. We're going to do a group project, again, doable online, even if people think that it's not, or that you've never done it before. But what we set up here, you'll notice 2 units that kind of duplicate. The first unit is really just a setup, group setup unit. That's where there's a lot of time devoted to pretty simple things, especially, or maybe because it can be difficult. Just like the hardest part of group work is sometimes just the initial coordination of schedules and who's who and how do I reach these people, and do we agree about a basic idea or approach. And then Unit 6 becomes more of the actual working time. So there's lots of space in Unit 5, but not because I think it's going to take a long time, but because it's so important that we get that foundation set, and then we can do good work in Unit 6. And based on the work that people have been doing and their sort of efforts so far, I think we'll have a really good experience doing this sort of online group, even if we never meet in person at all. Although many of you are probably on campus and maybe in other classes with each other, so meeting in person is maybe even more feasible in the honors framework here than it might be if we were just sort of regular, fully online students, for example. Okay, so due date wise, let's take a quick look then at where we're at. So we've just finished up Unit 4 on the yellow wallpaper and its versions. Hopefully you found that interesting, even if it was challenging, that we're not just looking at surface generalities or big obvious differences between one version of the yellow wallpaper and another. It's sort of digital existence in the earliest version and then our textbook version, but that you saw some of those nuanced differences, the really what might seem trivial differences, but how they connect to larger themes. And now we move into Unit 5, the start of our group project, due right, our usual Thursday. Again, you're probably going to feel like that's way more time than you actually need to do this. And then we have a working week sort of for doing the project, again, with that Thursday due date. Any replies or replying parts are extended a bit, but again, really encouraging people to get this earlier stuff done, or the earlier stuff done early enough that you really don't have to push this due date out to the very end. So you kind of have that. The downside of our staggered due date system is you end up with that overlap between finishing up the one unit, but also getting started on the next one. Okay, so where were we? Unit 5. So Unit 5 introduces you, it assigns the project, even though it's not due here, and it also provides a framework for how to connect with your groups. And truthfully, because of our course numbers, the groups here, quote unquote, are just partners. Sometimes if I do online group work in different classes where I know that I can see that people have not been participating, which is totally not the case here, I'll make the groups a little bigger, kind of banking on a few people not really showing up. But I think for our purposes, and given our nice even numbers, it makes sense to work with partners. It's more interesting, I think, to work in larger groups, but also, as you guys know, more challenging. So we're just going to go with the partner thing. So I'm going to say group, but it's partner. Okay, so what we're going to do here, let me find where I'm looking. The assignment itself. So because we're working largely online, we're going to work in a platform that allows for easy collaboration, like Google Slides, the Google Site Builder, the Google Website Builder, which is like new and improved and super easy to use. And I suggest Weebly, which is another website builder, but the new Google Sites is kind of like exactly what Weebly is. It's really user-friendly, but it allows for multiple people to collaborate without being physically present. You don't have to email files back and forth. They work really well. So if you have a Google account, you have access to these already. If you don't, you should get one because these are great tools. Okay, Google Slides is like PowerPoint if you haven't run into it before. Google Sites, the website builder. So these are two kinds of platforms that will allow for easy collaboration. So working together in your group or with your partner, you're going to create what's called a multimodal project. All that means is that instead of just the one mode text that we're used to writing in, whether it's discussion board or kind of formal essay, we also want to take advantage of the power of image, audio, video, all that other stuff that we know is really important for communication, but sometimes gets excluded from the academic work that we're invited to do. And what you're going to do then is explore one important theme in two works of fiction that we've covered for our course up to this point. So the basic, right, comparison essay or idea, it's fairly traditional in that sense, but you're doing it in a slightly different format, working with the group or working with a partner online and in a different platform than just writing an essay, where you're doing something much more multimedia. Okay, so if you do the slideshow idea, at least 10 separate slides, a web page, at least 5 separate pages. And the fun thing about a website, even if it's a little more intimidating, if you haven't done that kind of thing before, this is a great time to learn, is that it allows for, unlike a slideshow, a much less linear and much more creative development of what the idea you might want to explore. So don't think of this as just an essay on the web, for example. The premise is kind of the same, but you can take it in really creative directions. And organizationally, an essay is very linear. Page 1, page 2, thesis, detail, all of that kind of stuff. And we still sort of have those components, but they might not be laid out in quite that traditional linear sense, especially with the website. Slideshow tends to be linear. That's why I favor the website idea. Text written by the group members, so you might have one person write a piece but then edit together. That's again why these Google platforms are so great, because they allow for that really easy collaborative group work. We do want to quote from the primary texts, right? Give us a page number. We're not too worried about specific MLA citation, but do give us a page number. And then a thoughtful mix of audio, image, video. Could be stuff you find, but I'm really encouraging people not just to Google images or YouTube videos or whatever, but to actually create some of your own. Create audio of you reading a text, like a passage. Recreate a moment of dialogue between you and your partner. Create a video, right? Just use your smartphone. These used to be things that were really tough for students to do, and then you got to build a web page. You used to have to code it and all this stuff you had to know. But now, I mean, it's really not that much beyond doing an essay. And depending on your experience up to this point, maybe this is stuff that you've already been doing. It's not really new to you. But for other people, it is. So we might have kind of a mixed bag of people. It'd be great if it just so happened that partners were sort of like good at maybe doing video but had never done a website before, but the other person has a website that they've done before, but not a lot of experience with something else, right? So you can play off of each other's strengths. And then, of course, I don't think this is going to be a challenge for our group of people, but evidence that all group members have contributed. And one of the things that most of the Google tools allow for is I can see the revision history. So I don't necessarily seek that out as a way of vetting or making sure everyone contribute exactly the same number of minutes to the thing. But if I get the sense, and again, for our group, I doubt it, but if I get the sense that one person has kind of done the majority of the work, there are ways that I can really sort of verify that in a pretty quantitative kind of way. But like I said, probably not an issue for us. Thoughtful organization, just like we'd have in an essay, but we have a lot more options now in terms of, right, how a slideshow might unfold, especially with the website. We can start at a page, but we don't need page 1, 2, 3 to go in linear order. The first page, the landing page, can be sort of like a node that takes us in lots of different directions. So if you can't figure it out already, I'm totally into the website thing. And I've been using the new Google Site Builder. Oh my God, so good. Okay. Again, projects due not for this unit, but next unit. So here's really what we want to do for this unit. Just some basic group planning. So I've set this up as a wiki, which is a really stodgy tool in Blackboard, but at least we all have really immediate, easy access to it. It's a good starting point. So you and your partner, and the groups are down here, if you haven't checked them out already. You and your partner for this unit have to begin to discuss on the wiki. In this little space here, you can click yourself in, you'll see everybody has a page built for them already. That's not the project, that's just initial planning for what the project will be. You want to start discussing all of these things. So basically just setting the foundation as a group, right, for success moving forward. You want to agree on a means of communication, a no-brainer, right? Are you going to text with each other? Are you going to share your phone number, email, whatever you want to do? It doesn't matter to me as long as both people agree on it. You want to brainstorm some possible ideas. Maybe you throw out 4, 5, whatever, right? We don't need to choose one necessarily. You do want to think about the platform. Do you want to use the slides? Do you want to build a website? Again, even if you've never done that, this is a great opportunity to experiment with that. We have lots of time, I think, and also a really good group of motivated people where even if this is totally new and you're kind of learning as you go, I think that's a great opportunity. We can sort of clarify expectations, but because we just have partners, we already know that we both want to contribute sort of equally to the thing. And once we've figured out communication, this becomes a lot less problematic. And then the timeline is to some degree scripted for you because we have due dates, whether it's Unit 5 here or Unit 6. But you can also start to talk about, are there common times that you might want to meet face-to-face, just because it's, you know, sometimes easier to talk that way, to brainstorm some ideas. You get sort of excited about things and you come to some conclusions. Go have a coffee with each other. It'd be a cool thing to do anyway. Okay, so to get started for this unit, you want to click yourself into your wiki, find the page that's yours, edit the wiki so you can start to answer some of these things. And so this unit is really just a complete incomplete. I see that everybody has gone into the wiki and done something. Again, that's easy for me to see in Blackboard. And by the end of this unit, you should have, at a minimum, identified a means of communication for you and your partner, possible platform to work in, whether it's the slides or sites. You could always change that, truthfully, but if you make some inroads into choosing one versus the other, and have mapped out a basic plan, this doesn't mean you have an idea set in stone. It just means you have that means of communication, maybe a timeline, maybe some possible face-to-face meetings, throw out some brainstorming ideas, right? Then we have lots to work from. We don't want to wait until next unit, and then we're bumping up against the deadline to cobble something together that's just going to look crappy and you won't be proud of it. Okay, let's see. So every group member's done this, and somebody in your group has to share a project link. So if you start the Google slide, it's obviously not going to be done, but you'll be able to share that with me. If you build a website, you'll have that URL, even if it's totally blank right now. And then what I'll do is start making a list in Unit 6 of what will become everybody's project. Okay. So like I said before, actually pretty simple stuff to do, but really, really important that we do it in a timely manner. So there's lots of me talking about it, but also lots of time for you to do it. More time than you probably need. Use it wisely. All right, so Unit 6 then, right? Moving a whole unit ahead. The projects are due by Thursday. I'll have all the links in here or the actual things embedded. That's, again, a nice thing about Google Slides, for example, or some of the other tools. You can embed them right in Blackboard, or at least links to websites. And then you'll be responding to the projects in the more traditional discussion board format here. Okay, so that's a lot, right? A lot of talking and a lot of text, but really not right off the bat, a ton of work to do. My main concern for Unit 5 is that you connect with your partner and have an established, agreed upon means of communication to make everything else fall into place much more easily. All right? So you can obviously read through the directions again so you have a handle on the assignment. As you get into Unit 5, right, connect immediately with your partner. Notice we do have an email feature in Blackboard where you can email people in our class, but if people don't check their email, right, I get it. That's why you don't want to wait until the end of Unit 5 to get into your planning wiki here and realize that your partner has been in, and I'll see this, right, I can see that history, was in days before and is just sort of hanging out there like, hey buddy, we're supposed to be working on this thing together. So we've all probably worked in groups where there was that one guy or one girl who just couldn't get their act together. Don't be that one guy or girl, all right? So I want to see everyone into that wiki super early so we can start planning and make these online group projects really, really cool, something you can actually be proud of. Alrighty, as always, be in touch with any comments, comments too, but whatever. Mostly questions or concerns, and I'll talk with everybody soon.